Hey there. Welcome back to Reddit Views, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for more spicy stories and drop a comment for a chance to have your comment featured. Now, let's get into today's story video.
We've been married for 16 years, and the first time might have wrecked us. I am a 36-year-old F, and my spouse is a 44-year-old M. We had been married for more than 16 years. Our relationship was okay, with the usual ups and downs. There was no history of infidelity in 16 years, simply periodic squabbles about whether one of us was flirting or getting too close to someone of the other. I did have some worries about whether or not he was having an affair at one time, but we worked through it. I suffer from severe depression, anxiety, and PTSD as a result of my parents' physical and abuse, as well as assault when I was 14 by a boyfriend's father in his 60s. My anxiousness may get the better of me at times. I overthink things, but I'm working on it in therapy. We have 2 kids, ages 4 and 6. I remain at home while he works. We have some friends that come over from time to time, another couple who are unmarried, but have been together for about 7 years, and have a 4-year-old child as well. On weekends, we bring the kids together to play outdoors, since they live quite near to us, on the same street. They usually gather and sit around with us while the kids play. When the kids go to bed early, my husband and I remain up late drinking beer or wine and watching TV. We do this on various weekends, either alone or with another couple. We've had a couple too many drinks in the past and ended up being ridiculous, such as singing loudly, laughing about, and dancing together. She's kissed me a few of times, and I've let it happen, and we've laughed about it. I'm not, and I didn't experience any specific sentiments towards women. It was just a kiss, and I didn't enjoy it or dislike it. My spouse saw and didn't seem to mind. Instead, he laughed and joked about it. Her lover didn't notice, but when she told him, he became envious or called her a cheater. One night, when my husband and I were drinking beers and watching TV, I saw he was texting. He claims to be messaging his coworkers. I felt like a shot of tequila, so we each took one. He sends a picture of the tequila bottle and beer to his friends. After a few moments, he requests another shot and we oblige. Then our pal appears, but she is alone. She claims her partner fell asleep while we were getting shots. I'm assuming he texted her since I didn't. We do another 2 or 3 shots and a couple more beers with her. We began watching music videos and she wants to dance with me, so I comply and she kisses me again, but this time we're kissing. Husband joins us, and at his suggestion, we end up heading to the bedroom together. It didn't bother me. This might be entertaining, I reasoned. We hadn't discussed a perspective, so there were no rules or anything of the kind. It's not like a scheduled event where everyone can negotiate which lines should not be crossed and so on. This simply kind of occurred. I recall going to the room and his assisting both of us in undressing. We had only just started kissing. Husband enters me first with no condom, as is customary for us. He walks in and out a few times before approaching her. He continues to have solely with her. He goes away for a bit, then returns, and I suppose in my intoxicated head, it's my time now. He resumes having with her. At this point, I'm beginning to realize what's going on. I'm standing there watching while they have in front of me. I lay there half-conscious, wondering whether this was all real. He pulls all the same tactics on someone else as he does on me. And then he finishes somewhere I'm not sure where since it was dark. He drives her home, and I remain puking my guts out, wishing I hadn't overdone it. We went to bed when there was nothing left in my stomach. I wake up a few of hours later, I can't sleep, I'm waking up, and I'm recalling what just occurred. I felt like my spouse had remembered to do all of the tiny bedtime procedures that we conduct before going to bed. At that time, I realized he wasn't too inebriated. I feel like I rolled out the red carpet for him, and he simply went into with her as I waited and laid there. I did express my thoughts to him, telling him how I felt left out as a spectator, and he felt horrible about it and apologized. I inquired as to why. I told him how it made me feel inadequate, as if I'm not good enough, as if I'm undesired, and how it destroyed my self-esteem. He said that he would be honest, and that the sole reason he did so was because it felt different and fresh with her. Now I'm left feeling like a discarded item. I'm left wondering whether he'll keep looking for that new and different sensation. I can't look at him because I remember what he looked like while he was having with her. I can't even look at him or speak to him because it still stings and I feel betrayed. Is it okay for me to feel betrayed? I mean, I granted consent when we all climbed into bed together, and I didn't attempt to stop it. I was honestly waiting for my time, but it never arrived. Then, after he was done with her, I could still hear him groaning and see his face. It suffocates me. I'm at a loss on what to do or where to go from here. Couples counseling or even simply therapy for myself on this problem would be obvious options. However, I need to know whether or not this is survivable. I'm also in a lot of pain, and I'm not sure how to bring it up in therapy if I ever go back. My therapist has gone missing as a result of the COVID epidemic. I feel as if I have no one to speak to, and I'm at a loss on what to do. It's been 2 days after it occurred, and he was apologetic yesterday. Today, though, he became enraged since I ended up sleeping on the sofa. I told him I would, but changed my mind when he said please and vowed not to do anything with me until I was ready. I lay there, unable to sleep, repeating the event, overthinking it, wanting to weep but unable to do so since he was already asleep. After approximately 2 hours, I went to the sofa and wept for about an hour. He became enraged when he saw I had fallen asleep on the sofa. At this point, I'm also upset and enraged as a result of his behavior. Especially when I discovered he wasn't so intoxicated that he forgot I was there. He purposefully determined that since it felt fresh and different with her, he would simply do it. He's been at home all day, but hasn't done anything. Not assisting children with their schoolwork. I've been unable to look at him or communicate with him. He's upset with me. I'm at a loss on what to do next. Nothing can take away my recollection of what transpired. I'm capable of forgiving, but how will I forget? Is it possible for me to forgive if I can't forget? Please assist. Please contact me. Please direct message me. Please leave a remark. I'm like a sliver of my previous self. Update. Thank you for your suggestions, encouragement, comments, and messages. See the link for the initial post, or search for the same title without an update. After pondering a lot of what I had read, I decided to dig into what was going on further. Not only that, but my instincts told me he was lying. Before things blew out, we had a lot of excellent conversations. The majority of you will be taken aback by this news. I worked so hard to respond to messages yesterday and the day before, and I must have answered to you quickly because everything has changed. My objective was to write a piece with more information. I took some flack for refusing to inform her partner. My husband and I were on the mend at the time, and I wanted to stay on that road because I felt I had some responsibility, even if it was little. Reason 1, I didn't want to notify her partner about what happened since, according to her, he physically and emotionally abuses her. She's told me about it multiple times and shown me injuries, but she refuses to assist. He is also belligerent at times and serves in the military while suffering from PTSD. He is envious of her and has little faith in her. The majority of the time, they dispute over something she did to make him envious or something she's done in the past. We used to communicate as friends, and she'd say he's simply insane. Reason 2, we are all residents in a rental community. There's a lot of coming and going. Also, we live near a military installation and many military families, including them, rent here. He'll be getting a new contract shortly, and they'll be moving in a few months. I didn't see the purpose in potentially worsening the issue, although at the time, I didn't know the truth, or how far the manipulations and falsehoods had gone. When we were attempting to patch things, I had the impression that he was lying, and I had no idea what had occurred. I began poking holes in his claims, and he would patch them up, and I kind of believed him, but not really. I requested to look at his phone, and he handed it to me. He stood there staring at me while I flipped through the pages, which gave me a strange sensation. I could see he was anxious. As I go through a very long history of messaging back and forth, I come across some strange text messages. They don't make sense. For example, It was as though there was no background. When I questioned my husband, he said, I don't know, that chick's crazy and she doesn't make sense most of the time. I only partly believed him since it's true that she has troubles. There was also a text message in which he asked her if she wanted the worm. Which was strange because it sounded gross after reading some other dubious text messages. Messages to which someone may respond, that's what she said. I remembered the bottle of tequila, it was really mezcal, which is identical to tequila, because she got the worm when he poured her a shot. And they both pretended to be astonished and laughed, and he made no mention of having texted her about the worm from the bottle. The bottle was more than half empty, and with a little stirring, you can get the worm into whatever shot glass you want. I decided to put something to the test while waiting to pick up the kids from school. I texted her that I needed to talk to her, and that I needed to clear some things up from that night. I was hoping she'd contact him straight away, and he'd have it on his phone. I approached her at her door and inquired whether she had experienced anything unusual that night. She claims no and that she has no recollection of anything since she was blacked out intoxicated. I told her what had occurred, and she was telling me that it was screwed up but didn't say much more. As a result, I leave feeling really uneasy. She spoke very little. She trembled and was on the edge of sobbing. She seemed astonished and terrified. Until she appeared relieved since I had nothing at the time, at which point I returned home. I phoned him and inquired whether she had texted him at all today, to which he said no, she hasn't at all. Fortunately, we had security cameras throughout the home, so I decided to check them out. I'm going to go into depth about what I witnessed on the security cameras since those particulars are important. He admitted to me that he was also pretty inebriated, and that his decision-making abilities were affected. They were not inebriated. My spouse was not inebriated. They took various purposeful moves that gave me the impression that it was all premeditated. When she and I kissed, he came in and said, "Let's bring this party to the room." We were listening to music when she and I were left alone in the room without him. The video revealed that I was the first two up the steps, and she remained behind, looking across at him and asking, "Are you coming?" I turned to the second camera to see what he did or how he responded when she said that, but it had gone offline since it had lost power. I returned to her camera, and when he responds, she walks upstairs. I couldn't hear what he said since the music was too loud, and the camera couldn't hear him because he was in another room. Note, there were no cameras in the bedroom, but I remember what occurred there and was there when it happened, as I mentioned in the first article. Cameras in other living rooms, he was seen remaining behind and turning up the music. He put some items away that were lying about, tossed out some bottles, and then walked up the stairs to the room without any issues, no wobble, nothing. She and I were kissing in the room. I felt weird being alone with her. I was relieved when he arrived. But as I already said, it became simply them as I lay there forgotten. I was inebriated and waited for my time, which never arrived. If you haven't already, please read the first post. I felt quite nauseated once they were finished. I believe it was caused by the movement on the bed when I was sleeping. I felt like I was on a boat or in a vehicle, and I got that queasy sensation you get after drinking too much. I didn't get dressed, instead, I rushed to the toilet and puked. There was no one who followed me there. They waited behind while she dressed. He was assisting her in getting home. And I recall him chatting to her near the door and saying, "Let's go." I recall her saying no, and then popping her head into the bathroom and asking if I was okay. "Yes," I said. And she hesitated to go, but he said, "Let's go." He lied here since he said he helped her get home fast and returned, and that he was with me when I was vomiting up. And, sure, I recall him being present. I had no idea how long I had been vomiting up or how long it had taken him to bring her home. I didn't have any timings to compare his account to what he was claiming occurred before I looked at the cams. He wasn't there while I was vomiting up, according to the cameras. The camera caught them giggling as they down the stairs. Because the music was so loud, I couldn't hear what was spoken. They come to a halt at the elf on the shelf that I had put for the kids, and she touches it and giggles, "You're not supposed to touch it." They vanish off camera inside the room where the camera was turned off. He may be heard offering her some water. He asks her if she's chilly and if she wants a sweatshirt. I watch him return to the kitchen. He enters another room and examines the laptop there. He walks inside the children's room to check on them. They return and stay around for approximately 15 minutes before heading back home. Mind you, I was vomiting upstairs while he was hanging out with her and checking on her. During that period, he never came up to check on me. The cameras show him walking her home and then returning. He returns upstairs, and that is when he comes to see me. I was merely dry heaving at the time. I was vomiting and my body was urging me to vomit, but nothing else was coming out. I remember you asking whether I wanted Tylenol, and I said, no, I can't, but he persuaded me. The cameras show him taking the bottle of Tylenol and easily pouring out precisely 2 doses. He returns upstairs to grab me some ice water. I recall his assisting me in getting clothed and into bed, after which he went and I fell asleep. The video shows that after leaving the bedroom and going downstairs, he made some food and drink for himself. He eats it, shuts out the lights, charges everything so the home alarm goes off, double-checks the doors are closed, and returns upstairs. I was heartbroken to see all of it since he had left me alone when I was throwing up. I realized they weren't inebriated. They may have been inebriated, but they understood exactly what they were doing. At this time, I decided to go through his text messages on our mobile phone account. I had trouble accessing our mobile phone provider's website since I had never had to log in and monitor phone use. So I called customer support, and he was the major person on the phone, and they were giving him reset codes and other things that I required from him. He seemed uncomfortable and asked what was going on. I told him I was attempting to resolve a mobile network phone problem that I was experiencing. I was eventually able to see the logs, and it's too early to view the text logs for the previous several weeks, but the text logs that were there showed them messaging on a regular basis. The text logs ranged in length from a few pages to several pages. When I glanced at his phone, there were a lot of messages, but they weren't as comprehensive as the phone bill indicated. I choose a few occasions when the SMS exchanges last for hours. He called me before he came home and asked whether everything was all right, and I responded yes. He texted me on his way home saying he was feeling ill. When he came home, he started complaining about feeling nauseous, like he was going to puke, and that he was ready to develop a migraine. He indeed had the look of someone suffering from a terrible migraine. He was pale, sweaty, and ready to vomit. Before he goes upstairs to puke, I ask him if she texted him at all today, and he says no, not at all. I asked if I may peek at his phone to make sure she hadn't texted him. Yeah, fine, here, take that. I'm going to use the toilet while you check that, he replies. Of course, he erased her texts, but when I checked the dates on the text logs that were lengthy messages to his phone, I discovered that he deleted a lot. It finally strikes me at this moment. It was all a lie. When he throws up from a migraine, we typically remain by him, but I let him hurl up alone, just as he left me throwing up alone. He returns and says, I'm going to bed, and asks for his phone. We need to discuss, I said. I asked him to go over part of what he told me and squared up and down before he realized I was looking at the cameras. He lied to me again. I questioned him again whether he had ever erased any text messages, and he answered no, that they were all still there. So, now that I've gotten him to believe his narrative, I confront him with everything. When I begged him to tell me the truth, he remained mute. I've asked him many times and he still won't speak to me. I start freaking out because it's all coming back to me, the manipulations, the falsehoods, and I realize this has been going on for much longer than that one night. He refuses to communicate with me, so I threaten to go over and tell her boyfriend everything. He claims he'll speak, but he doesn't. I ordered him to say something right now, to tell the truth, or I'll go over there right now. He remains quiet as I approach the door, saying, please don't, I'll speak. I wait again, but he doesn't speak, so I walk over to the boyfriend and tell him everything. While I'm talking to the boyfriend, I can see my husband flipping out inside the home, pacing and staring. When I returned, my husband said, what did you say to him? I replied, I told him all I knew, and I need you to give me the truth. We had a brief back and forth. At this point, I'm asking him to give me the truth. I tell him that I need to hear it from him, and that if we want to save our marriage, he has to be 100% honest because I can see through every single lie. He tells me that they've been flirting back and forth for a long time, and that he slept with her twice before I question him for all the facts. Her boyfriend was out of town for a few weeks the first time they slept together, and I was sleeping in when he, my husband, walked over and put her on her sofa. My kids and her son were playing at my place the second time, and her kid requested for his iPad. He went over to their home to get the tablet and found her alone downstairs as her partner slept upstairs. And my husband dragged her over the counter and into the kitchen. He didn't wear a condom all of the times, and now I see why he was so eager to go to her on our purported date. There was no hesitancy, and I recalled some of what they said, and it all made sense since they'd been doing this for a long. I'm at a loss on what to do again. I know I should leave him right now and never look back. I despise him and am disgusted by the whole situation. I get the impression that he is uninterested in me. He begs me to remain, begs me not to leave him because he loves me. He claims he's an idiot and has no idea why he did it. He simply wanted to be with her, and with all the flirting tensions had built up, and when they got a chance, they took it. He claims that a few months passed between the first and second occurrences because they both felt it was wrong and that it couldn't happen again. But then it happened. And the third time happened around 2 weeks after the second. I'm afraid that everyone will find out what occurred. He purposefully placed her in front of me while I lay there inebriated. He managed to get me intoxicated. I just wanted one shot, but he insisted on more. He left me alone as he attended to her. He ate a lunch in front of me after she had finished her supper. He felt no remorse until he was arrested. Why do I still have feelings for him? What am I doing here? I don't have someone to speak to. I'm at a loss on what to do next. I'm devastated since my oldest picked up on some of the tension when I confronted him and saw me weeping outdoors. The kids were in their rooms, but when they returned for water, they saw something was awry. I didn't want them to see me sobbing, so I went outside and said, "I'll be right back." My husband claims he went upstairs to get them their water bottles and broke down when my kid inquired if we were going to abandon him. My kid was sobbing alongside his father since he had never seen his father cry before, and my little one was simply standing there startled. He managed to get them both into bed and sleeping. I was devastated when he told me what had occurred. My youngster honestly begged his father not to divorce us. Now it's up to me to determine if I should continue in this marriage and attempt to forgive despite feeling like a carpet for a while. I always get the impression that he is deceiving me. I'm always mistrusting him when previously he had my whole faith and I didn't have a single anxiety. If I remain, I'll be like this for who knows how long. Then, when we've healed and it's been put on the back burner for a while, he may do it again. He could be more cautious now since he doesn't want to be reckless again and be caught. And this can't possibly employ an either? After 16 years with me, he's become used to without using a condom. So I think I'll have a chance to get a STI? How am I going to stay? A part of me wishes I could be the relationship that can be salvaged after this. Part of me thinks that we can make it work. But I despise myself for thinking that. And if I decide to divorce, I will be tearing the family apart. I told him he's a terrific father and that we'd split custody, but he insists on having his family together, with me and them. So if I leave, if we divorce, the kids will be subjected to it. My kid has special needs and requires a great deal of assistance and care. Now that I have to return to work, he will not get the care he needs. In the midst of this epidemic, I would need to locate daycare. I would need to locate work, and it would have to be from home since I have an immune system issue. I'm having to abandon my master's degree when it's just halfway done. I will be blamed, even if incorrectly, for not remaining and attempting to make things work. I'll be blamed for whatever happens as a result of this divorce in the future. We were putting money aside for our dream home, trying to save for a comfortable retirement. We worked well together. Now I have to make a decision, and I have no idea what to do. And I'm asking online strangers for assistance since I don't have anybody else. How can I approach someone I know for assistance without a slew of people finding out? And what would people think of me if I remain and they find out? I can't believe he put someone in our bed on purpose as I laid there watching him. I can see his face, I can see hers, I can see and hear everything. He attempted to seduce her. He rested her leg on his shoulder in the manner I like. He did the things I like doing to her. He did this while I was sleeping. And then proceeded as if nothing had happened. FML, he pretended to be apologetic for leaving me out, then lied and claimed he got carried away. He hadn't been completely apprehended yet, so he lied and reassured me despite the fact that he had already been her for some time. Please accept my apologies for any errors in the text. I did this entirely with voice to text, with the rest written. I'm unable to go back and reread. I hope I made myself clear. Please provide me useful responses or direct messages. I need assistance. Personal encounters as well as assistance. I'm in a state of astonishment, rage, and outbursts of tears. I was able to contact my therapist, and I will see her in a few days. Edit. I informed her partner after he admitted to cheating on her multiple times. I couldn't stand the falsehoods and the fact that he was caught up in her lies, and had no idea what was going on. As a result, I told him edit in one phrase, I used the word spouse instead of boyfriend. They tell people they are married, but I discovered after getting to know them that they aren't. It's a bad habit. She is wearing a ring. I had to fix this and add an edit because apparently this is causing a few people to claim that everything is a lie. I don't have the patience to argue about my nightmare. And if anyone comes across my copied story, please let me know how it ends.